In the Middle Ages, everyone thought the Earth was flat, but not brilliant navigator Christopher Columbus. He knew the Earth was round and set out to prove it. He set sail to Asia by heading west from Spain, and he would have made it, but on his way there he bumped into and discovered America. That is why we celebrate Columbus Day in the United States. Every single thing that I just said is absolutely false. First, the flat Earth thing. Ancient Greek mathematicians, Pythagoras and Aristotle, proved that the Earth was spherical around the year 500 BC, and ever since, virtually all scholars have agreed on that. The flat Earth myth was created in the 17th century by Protestants to discredit Catholic teachings, but that was 200 years after Columbus, and the myth was never really widely believed. When Columbus sailed west from Spain, everyone had known the Earth was round for 2,000 years. Nobody was worried about ships falling off the edge of the Earth. People were worried, though, that the crew would starve to death because Columbus's math was suspect, and many feared he had grossly underestimated the circumference of the Earth. Those who worried turned out to be right. Columbus's math was flat out wrong, and his crew would have died of starvation, thirst, or scurvy had they not inadvertently bumped into what is now the Bahamas. Next, Columbus was not the first European to visit the Americas. In the year 1000, or almost 500 years before Columbus, Icelandic explorer Leif Erikson and possibly other Vikings before him explored what they called Vinland, and was actually Newfoundland, part of modern Canada. Around the same time, Portuguese fishing fleets had either visited or sighted North America as well. Columbus explored Caribbean islands and, in later voyages, Central and South America. He never got close to what is now the United States. In 1497, just 5 years after Columbus's first voyage, Italian navigator Giovanni Caboto, commissioned by England's King Henry VII, set sail from Bristol and became the first European to explore North America since Ericsson and the Vikings 500 years before. As an aside, keep in mind that in the Middle Ages, Europeans often nativized their names, so Giovanni Caboto was also known as John Cabot in English. Of course, this nativization also applies to Columbus himself, born Cristoforo Colombo and known as Cristobal Colón in Spanish and Christopher Columbus in English. Anyway, Caboto, or Cabot, was a European that paved the way for England's colonization of North America, not Columbus. So, why isn't the holiday Cabot Day? Politics. The nascent United States, fresh off the War of Independence, did not want to make a hero out of Cabot, an explorer who, albeit Italian, flew under the British flag. So they chose to use Columbus, making him an American hero and a cultural icon because of a practical need to construct a national identity that excluded Britain. The Founding Fathers built a hagiography lionizing a man who was a mediocre navigator and a worse mathematician, a man who never came close to what is now the United States, a man who, despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary, insisted that he had landed in East Asia as he intended until his death. A man who horribly mistreated the inhabitants of the New World and is described by his crew as someone for whom casual killing was a leisure activity. Early America made a hero out of a man who wrote, quote, "Let us in the name of the Holy Trinity go on sending all the slaves that can be sold," unquote, as he rounded up 1,500 Arawaks in the Lesser Antilles to sell them in Spain. With heroes like this, who needs villains?